Claude, welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. How are you, my friend?
Oh, so good to see you, Ryan. Thanks for having me. I'm great.
I've been so excited to have this conversation. Grateful to our friend in common, Brian, for connecting us. Really grateful. Big fan of Brian and the amazing work that he does in the world. But I also am a huge fan of the incredible work you do in the world. I like to here at Always Better Than Yesterday, when we talk about the work of our heart, the things that we love to do in the world, we refer to that as heart work. I would love to know a little bit about your heart work.
I mean, that question speaks to my heart, but that is the question. That is all that matters is how am I making someone feel? How am I lighting someone up? How am I creating spaces where people can come and feel safe and feel like they matter and feel loved, and then do their best work, then thrive, then open up, then feel more like they can be their authentic self. So for me, my heart work is holding space for someone and creating whatever it is that we can create together in a, and I'm a passenger really with them. I'm like a Sherpa. I'm just guiding up the mountain, but I'm not the mountain, nor am I the hero of the story.
I love the way you speak. I think you speak of a style of leadership that my heart knows to be true, but my eyes don't often see it in the world. And I think it's incredibly powerful, particularly with the role that you have and the organization that you work with and for, and the platform that has, to really see this style of leadership not just be talked about, because let's face it, leadership is action, leadership is a verb. And I spent 12 years in the UK police service here, and I was very fortunate enough that I became a parent at the same time as I became a leader at the first time. So life revealed to me something about the heart of leadership that meant it wasn't about rank and status. It was more around love and service and sacrifice and nurturing. Is there a time, is there a situation in your own life where the heart of leadership was revealed to you?
Oh my gosh. Many times, however, the 93-day Outward Bound wilderness leadership semester that I took in 1991 was, I was 19 years old. And that is literally where I learned what servant leadership is. That's what I learned, what it meant when, Simon Sinek says leaders eat last.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned, that I need to take care of the team first, and then they will take care of me. So, 93 days in the wilderness, having a break every 18 days, you get to know yourself quite well, and you get to practice. And then you get to, then for me, I got to evolve and come out of there knowing exactly the type of leader I was going to be. And funny enough, Ryan, I went into a job after that, working at a grocery store, when I lived in San Francisco. And the owner would always say to me and every other employee, everyone's replaceable. And I thought, okay, yeah, but like, why would you lead with fear like that?
Your role, your title has inspired me to take on a very similar role, the same title role. And I see my responsibility as the Chief Heart Officer of Always Better Than Yesterday is that it's my heart, it's my vision for the world, and it's part of my pain, it's part of my purpose, it's what I care about most in the world. I guess, how do you take on that responsibility within an organization as a Chief Heart Officer?
I don't think about titles.
Yeah.
So what I do today is what I did yesterday and what I did, 10, 15 years ago. I happen to have a great title that allows me to do this and only this all day. And what I mean by this and only this is, how am I lighting someone up? How am I listening to what they're saying, listening and watching how they communicate, and then helping them through limiting beliefs, helping them through roadblocks, cheering them on, assisting when they have family members in hospital, when they are wanting to move to a different team, whatever that may be.
Mm,
Anything and everything that comes my way, I feel like if I am open to receiving and I do it without judgment and I remember that it's not about me,
mm.
it's all doable. It's not even a matter of managing it. It's just all um, bringing empathy to this organization and making sure that that is getting sprinkled and I'm touching all of the people here
Mm.
and beyond. And then I have to have people that scale that too, of course.
Yeah, I want to know about scalable, because there'll be many heart-centered leaders that are listening to this that are bought into the idea of leading with love and with heart and with care and with empathy. It's the next question, isn't it? Sometimes, okay, well, how do I do that? But I think before we get to the how is that this is intangible stuff. You know, this is intangible stuff in a world that leads with metrics and hard figures and facts. Like, where do you take your faith from in terms of that this is the right thing to do?
Well, I think it's intuition, which is intangible stuff.
Yep.
It is looking on someone's face and
Mm,
seeing if they are getting lit up, if what we're chatting about is affecting them in any way, shape, or form, and what their emotions are, what their energy is like. You know, for me, when people say, well, what is the ROI of putting heart into your work? What is the ROI of leading with kindness first over KPIs? What isn't the ROI? I mean, tell me one thing that isn't the ROI of making your employees feel like they matter, feel like they know that you work for them,
mm,
bringing joy to someone. Tell me what isn't the ROI? Because we know that that pays off in spades. We know that there's an incredible ripple effect, that people are more engaged, that people are happier when they make friends at work, when they are engaging with one another on Zoom, and it doesn't have to just be about work.
mm.
You know? So I'm smiling at the question because every single thing that I believe leaders need to do, even the toughest decisions,
Mm.
can be done with heart, can be done with honesty
Mhm.
and communication, transparent communication.
I remember a time when Gary famously said, "What's the ROI of your mum?" And it's it's the same concept, isn't it? So, how do you as a leadership team work together to scale your culture of heart and care?
We're at a place now where we have enough people on the leadership team that not only are drinking the same water that
Mm,
he and I are drinking, but they've come in with years and years of experience
mhm,
leading in very similar ways that we do, that Gary and I do. And so we haven't had to recreate the wheel with them. We've just had to really show them that we mean business, that
mhm,
when we say we trust first, we trust first.
mhm,
They don't need to prove themselves to us, so that in itself, having leaders and then managers that can follow suit is an incredible way to scale what we call the honey empire and a people first culture. I have a great team that does that as well.
mm,
And when you trust people to be the bigger person in situations, and you trust people to know how to lead with
mm.
kindness, we're not going to get it right all the time, but when at least you don't micromanage them so that they can at least give it a shot,
Yeah,
amazing things happen.
yeah. And I'm just thinking, as you're speaking, is that Gary's a very prominent CEO. He's out there. He's for the world to see. He is heart on his sleeve, out on social. He's very out there. And yet your culture is one of I read that it's not ego down, but it's ideas up. And I guess that might be surprising for many to hear, having such a visionary, CEO that's out there. How does that work in practice?
Well, it's so interesting because there is a difference between Gary Vaynerchuk and Gary V. And so a lot of people see Gary V, who's loud, can be a little brash, all of those things. I work for Gary Vaynerchuk,
Mm.
the human being who yesterday on an all hands said, I want to pay you all to learn. I want to pay you all to learn. Like that just does not happen.
Mm.
And the sentiment doesn't happen in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Even that sentiment of generosity of spirit.
Mm.
So that is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Love
That's
that.
that's
I,
who we work every day. And it's not hustle porn or all of that. It's just not. It's being real.
yeah, and I know that language is so important. I listen to the way that you speak, and you're so intentional with your words to the point you don't even say that people who work for you, it's you work for them. And I'm really, really intrigued by that. And but as someone that does work with Gary, how does that feel as a VaynerMedia employee, being told that he wants to pay you to learn? Like, what does that do for your commitment to that organization?
I mean, I would think that it gives you a skip in your step, and it gives you permission to then thus learn and spend time on TikTok and spend time on Instagram Reels and become proficient in what it is we do. I do believe that if anything, it unlocks the shackles that people put on themselves.
Mm.
Perfection, for having to be in every single meeting every time because there's FOMO. What we're saying is, no, you don't need to be in every single meeting.
Mm.
We don't want you in every single meeting. We want you out there learning, and then we want you out there educating your clients.
Mm.
And whatever else your job requirement is, making some phenomenal creative work, pulling strategies together. So that type of ethos right there, again, is one of, wow, if my boss is saying that he's paying me to learn, then why am I such an a-hole? Why am I so negative? Like, look at where I get to work every day.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And just talking about kind of Vayner employees, I know that you recently asked your interns, you asked them, where do they shine? I'd love to know, Claude, where do you shine?
I shine in what I'm doing every day. I shine in this conversation. I believe I shine when I'm in action, trying to help people take some of the pressure off themselves,
Mm.
remove the shame of whatever it is, and take an at bat. I certainly shine with my almost 3-year-old daughter and my 4.5-month-old daughter.
Wow. Where does that come from? How do you nurture that heart? Where does it?
I don't have a magic answer for that. I have incredible parents, and I was really raised also by my nana, who called me Heart. We called each
Right.
other Heart, and she
Wow.
died 4 years ago at 101. And she was the biggest empath that I've ever known in my life, ever known. And I think she, in many ways, helped me see that who I am, and the fact that I think with my heart, and I am an empath, and I'm sensitive, is actually a superpower, not a deterrent. Not, I shouldn't get rid of it.
Yep.
And also, Ryan, I struggled for a very long time in school. I struggled to feel like I fit in the working world. I thought I had a missing chip in my head for a very long time. And I really, really don't want anyone else to ever, ever, ever feel those things. And so I'm very clear on why I do what I do, because I don't want anyone to feel that pain and shame and loneliness. I want people to feel that there's acceptance on the soil in which they walk. And by the way, we got a ways to go, don't we know?
Yes, indeed we do. You talk about emotional optimism.
Mhm.
What does that mean to you?
Emotional optimism to me means understanding that we go through our dark night of the soul, that we go through our own journeys, that we have our own depressions, that we have our own pains, that we have our own feelings and emotions, but that we can somehow, whether or not it's within ourselves, it's within getting support from others, see those obstacles and hardships and still identify them and still find a way through. Not negating, it's not toxic positivity. The emotional, that's the heavy part. Like, yeah, it's not easy. There's tons of things that aren't easy out there in the world, or maybe in the workplace. The acknowledgement, and then the optimism, the hope of a better future. Optimism is all about hope. Tomorrow is going to be better. Today might be really painful. Hang in there, have a duvet day, but tomorrow you'll rise again, my friend.
What do you do when inevitably, to be human means to experience all emotions? What do you do as a leader to look after yourself?
Yeah, this is such a good question for me, because it's a reminder that I have to do that. On one hand, playing with my kids is an amazing way to fill my bucket. It's also an amazing way to drain my bucket. So I actually need to take some kind of time out, if not every day, every third day, where I just put on headphones and I drift away to music. I cook, which really helps me just zen out. I don't think about anything. And I talk to friends. I talk to my solid core. And I know I can just be, funny and sad and question life with them if I need to. But I really do, obviously I tried to eat well and exercise and all of those things. But I would say, my friends might laugh at this, but I think I'm very simple. I don't, I don't go and walk 15 miles and gaze at my belly button. I just do take care of my responsibilities and then say, like, whoa, I am tapped out. I need a timeout right now. I need a break. I need 3 hours by myself. Yeah. And I think one other thing, Ryan, sorry.
Go ahead.
I really, really do my best to let it go. Best to not carry any other weight on my back than the weight of my backpack. That's, I really have to say. And I learned that, we learned that the hard way, but whatever you put in your backpack, you got to carry. So
my listeners will know that I'm laughing to what you've said there, because that was a big thing about me leaving the police, and to do this full time is I learned the hard way, as you were just saying, that I had to let go and leave space for the miracles in many ways. But the heart-centered leaders that are listening, they're already bought into this idea of creating teams and cultures. You describe culture as the heartbeat. And how do we stoke their drum? How can we encourage those heart-centered leaders to be a bit louder, be a bit more prouder, be a bit more intentional with the spaces and teams that they create?
Yeah, the answer for me is really simple, which is you must be listening. You must be asking questions of your people and listening. And in order to ask questions of your people, you got to be available and accessible. Don't just say you have an open door policy, but your diary is booked from 9 to 6 every day, because that's not really an open door policy. Whether or not you're texting, you're slacking, whatever, you need to be in touch with the heartbeat. And the heartbeat is the people. And the people create the culture. Not the sign on the wall up there, oh, be kind. Well, that's nothing. You have to act it. You have to be in action around that. So there's no way, I don't know if there's any way to be aligned with your people and to be an incredible people leader if you don't know what your people need, where their pain points are, and what they want more of, And burnout is real right now. Burnout is real. So what are you doing about that? Rather than saying like, yeah, it's just a bad time right now. That's toxic positivity. We're all going to get through it. Like, what are you actually providing? Any tools? Do they get an emotional duvet day? You know, are you bringing in some meditation for them? Are you just having a round table and talking about it? So there's so many options if you look outside of yourself and listen.
Mm. I know that you talk passionately about create spaces and places where people feel like they belong, that they matter, that they can contribute, they can grow. We call that space the greenhouse. Like, I really love to encourage leaders to create the environment where others grow. There's a time and place where those people will move on, though, isn't there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
does that happen with the people that you mentor and see grow?
It reminds me of that song. I think it's by the Birds. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There's a season, turn, turn, turn. Um, it's about letting go again. About, you know, of course, we want our highest performers and the people that are
Yeah.
culture champions to stay forever. And if you think about it, we try to save those people, of course.
Yeah.
And if they end up leaving, the gift is they're going to go to that company or they're going to go be a CMO over there one day, and we're still going to have a relationship.
Mm.
So it's the, you know, it's the trying to encourage someone to really stay, obviously, uh, if they really are phenomenal for what we are and who we are. And
Mm.
then the understanding that everything changes and everything turns, and that opening allows us maybe to bring in two other people that we wouldn't have met yet.
Yeah.
So it's easier said than done, as all of this is, right?
Yeah.
Because we're just talking about theory and what I do. But you know, when you're really in it,
Mm.
remind yourself why you're in it.
Mm.
What is a win for you? You know, sometimes a win for me is letting someone go in the most kindest, most humane way I possibly can, with a wonderful package and love. You know, sometimes the best thing I can possibly do is help someone navigate switching from one department to the other department where they're really where they shine.
Yeah. I think what you demonstrate quite clearly, loud and clear to me, and hopefully to the many that are listening, is that there is real practicality in leading with love rather than fear.
Thank you.
Real practicality. Very conscious of your time. I have a couple more questions. And most recently, you said about emotional isolation is toxic for us.
Mm.
Emotional isolation. You think the years that we've just been through with the pandemic, like, how do we come out of that? How do we overcome some of that intoxication?
Yeah, it's really the 25 million pound question, isn't it? Because isolation has a common denominator, which means people feeling lonely and that they don't have a place, they don't have a home necessarily. And so, and then isolation is different for different people. What I really do think is we have to find ways on Zoom while we're hybrid to fuel up the power of connectivity. And that might be more, you know, more frequent all hand meetings, more frequent AMAs, ask me anything, more frequent jam sessions with small groups of people, your leaders, you know, jamming with people. Depending on people's comfortability, you know, I'm in the office today and I just heard that there's 20 people meeting in another conference room. I'm going to get to go see them, and my oxytocin levels are going to rise because I'm going to get that feeling of love. And like, I love our people. I love our people. But you have to be deliberate and intentional about connectivity.
Yeah.
And so the last meeting I was on and I was leading, like, it was an hour long. I spent the first 13 to 15 minutes doing icebreakers with people. And there you go, because that is what we need right now. We need to get to know each other as humans, not just dig into the brief, right?
Yep. 100%. I'm with you. Thank you for being a light in this world. Thank you for leading by example. Thank you for giving a frame of reference. I think sometimes leading with heart naturally transcends intellectual understanding. And I think our job and what I try and do here and what you're demonstrating through action is that there's a way of understanding and implementing this. And it's incredible. Thank you so much for your time. I'd be really curious to know what the phrase "always better than yesterday" inspires in you.
Emotional optimism. I mean, right there. And that's the wonderful thing, is each day is a new chance,
Mm,
a whole nother clean slate to do it differently. Take another swing, to light someone up, to light yourself up. It's a
mm.
new, it's a new start.
I love that. Claude, thank you so much for your time. Really, really grateful. So glad we got to connect. And I'd be honored if you'd leave us with a final thought from your good self.
Yeah, well, the final thought is always going to be the Maya Angelou quote, which is, people will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Mic drop. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.